the UK now, where it looks like Boris Johnson will keep his job as Prime Minister. The votes are still being counted, but the exit polls, those questions asked to voters after they've marked their ballots, point to a healthy Conservative majority. If they're accurate, it looks like the Labour vote has collapsed. Redmond Shannon is keeping an eye on the early results. Redmond, Boris Johnson is calling the UK the greatest democracy in the world tonight. It looks like this could be a better result than even he was expecting.
Yes, exactly, Donna. Well, he might, because these results, already the few results that have come in show big swings to the Conservatives, and the exit polls, well, they show, if they're correct, the Conservatives of Boris Johnson will win around 368 seats. The opposition Labour Party are set to win around 191 seats, way behind, with the Scottish Nationalists in third on 55 seats. If these results are anywhere near the final results, well, then expect that the UK could finally, potentially leave the EU in January.
It's the day Prime Minister Boris Johnson hoped could lead him to that precious Conservative majority, one to help him finally get a Brexit deal approved. In the 650-seat House of Commons, a party needs 326 to win a majority. But take away the neutral Speaker and some Northern Irish nationalist MPs who refuse to take their seats, and the real magic number is around 322. In reality, though, Johnson will need a healthy buffer to be sure of Brexit success. His path to victory could be through the traditional Labour seats of the English Midlands and North.
Well, I've always voted Labour, which was for the working class, but I don't think they am now, no more.
Nobody actually understands the working man. They've never done a proper hard day's work in a factory or anything like that. They haven't got a clue what it's like.
We've always voted Labour. Always, but the way it is at the moment, we ain't voting anybody.
Anecdotally, at least, the turnout appeared strong in places despite the rain. That's something opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn would have welcomed. He hoped a hung parliament could get him from Sesame Street to Downing Street.
Well, it looks like Jeremy Corbyn is going nowhere near Downing Street, Donna. Expect a heave in the Labour Party against his leadership. Now, he's not the kind of guy who's going to go easily, but this could be the Labour Party's worst performance since 1935, an absolute calamity for them. On the other hand, Boris Johnson will be delighted with this, and he will now potentially table his Brexit deal in the House of Commons between now and Christmas. Donna?
Looks like it could be the biggest majority for the Tories since Margaret Thatcher in 1987. Redmond in London, thanks. There are more than just political careers at stake. If, as the exit polls suggest, the results clear the way for Brexit, multinational companies in the UK will feel the impact. Global's Jeff Semple caught up with one Canadian business owner who's been busy preparing for potential fallout.
A few years ago, this Canadian cosmetics company set its sights on Europe, opening an office in the UK.
We're able to really easily get products to all over the rest of Europe, and it was actually a pretty slick little way to operate a small business like ours internationally.
But that was before this.
The UK has voted to leave the European Union.
Brexit signaled the likely end of Britain's tariff-free trading relationship with Europe, leaving Tina Davies' studio scrambling to find another way to supply its European customers.
It looks like we're going to move our additional European warehouse to the Netherlands, just to compensate for the fact that things leaving the UK will incur a charge for people buying them now.
Theirs is one of around 600 Canadian companies in the UK who've been waiting now for over 3 years to see what Brexit will bring.
For a lot of Canadian businesses, frankly, there's just Brexit fatigue.
That uncertainty and volatility in the British market and currency have already taken a toll.
For a small, medium-sized company, I think the incremental cost that Brexit has already caused is significant.
And the uncertainty will continue indefinitely. If and when Brexit becomes official, the UK will need to negotiate a new trade agreement with the EU before it can deal with Canada.
He is going to be focusing on the EU, and Canada will be some way back, in the queue.
And Canada's preliminary talks with the UK on a post-Brexit deal, which had made progress, have now stalled.
We're not keeping up with the Joneses. If you look at what the UK has been able to do with a number of other countries, such as South Korea and Switzerland, they have that trade agreement, or I guess you could call it an insurance policy that's in place and ready to go for whenever the UK does leave the EU. Unfortunately, Canadian businesses don't have that same guarantee there yet.
And if that exit poll is right and the Conservatives win a majority government here, that will likely provide some clarity for Canadian businesses, though perhaps not in the way that they'd hoped. Prime Minister Boris Johnson can now move forward with his Brexit before January 31st and begin negotiating the terms of his so-called hard Brexit, which will likely mean hard times for Canadian companies. Donna?
Jeff Semple in London tonight. Thanks.